Here, back in the saddle again after a few weeks' vacation is the boss man himself, Mr. American Cowboy, Gene Autry. I love those dear hearts and gentle people who live in my hometown because those dear...
So this movie is called Sector 7, and it is a monster movie and it's an action movie, but it's so bad. I also think of it as kind of a comedy. Now it's the story of this oil rig, and what happens is that, a monster from the deep, comes up and starts killing people. And the main character is this girl, and she has to, she's kind of with this guy. They're not really friends, they're a bit closer, but they're not really boyfriend and girlfriend. And they're kind of getting to it. And as they kind of flirt, then this monster thing happens and it starts eating people. And then at the end, she burns it up. And oh my god, it is a complete mess. Since this movie is in Korean, it is a bit hard to understand. So maybe I didn't get all the points of it, but god, it was so cheesy. The cheese, there was just too much cheese. But yeah, they find out that the monster's weakness is fire, and they burn it many times, and they explode it, but it still survives. Then somehow they manage to get guns, and they keep on firing at the monster, but it survives. At the end scene, when almost everybody's dead, one of the guys, he just pulls out a flamethrower out of nowhere, and I'm like, seriously, that could have been so much more useful before. And what the hell did you even get a flamethrower? Then, of course, he tries burning it up, but, it burns up, it survives and kills him anyways. Then there's this other guy, what he does is that he tries to save the guy that's gonna get eaten, and then, they both get eaten. And now the girl is all alone, she's the last one on the ship. The oil rig, sorry. Now, what happened is that she has this bike, and what she did is that she takes the bike and she drives and she is chased by the monster, and I just thought that could have been so much more useful before. Now, here's the thing, is that there are these bars, poles that are set up vertically, and what happens is that she drives the motorcycle through the bars, and she manages to dodge all of them. Then the monster comes running in, but it crashes into the poles and they all fall on top of the monster. And then, what happens? She turns around, then races at the monster that's trapped at full speed. She jumps off, and then the bike falls like this, and it just skids towards the monster, and it's creating sparks, and then when it hits the monster, it explodes, and she thinks the monster's dead. Guess what? It's alive. Again. So now she's getting chased by the monster to the main part of the oil rig. You know the part where there are this tower that is made out of bars and it goes up like this, where the drill is hanging from it? That's called a derrick. So she goes there, and what happens is that she somehow manages to find a hatchet, and what she does is that she keeps swinging at the monster. Now, I am not Einstein, but I am smart enough to know that if you have shot the monster, tried to burn it up with a flamethrower, and tried to blow it up and it still survives, would you really think a hatchet would work? Because of the obvious, the hatchet fails, and then she's cornered by the monster. Now she thinks she's gonna die until she looks to her left and she finds a carabiner, and if you don't know what a carabiner is, it's one of those clips that you use for rock climbing. And what it is that it's attached to this rope, and this rope is attached to the top of the derrick. And what happens is that she unhooks the carabiner, and then it kind of launches her up, and it launches her up to the top of the derrick, and then the monster climbs up. And then what happens is that the monster falls, and what she manages to do is that she finds the controller for the drill. Now the drill is like this giant hollow pole, and inside the pole there are 3 drills that they use for the digging up the oil. Now what she does is that when the monster is in the right position, she drops the paw and it falls on the monster. And she presses the drill button, and then it starts drilling the monster's insides and guts, and blood starts flying everywhere. And at this point, I was all like, so she manages to drill at the monster, and it dies. Now, one of the men, before he died, one of the guys, what he did is that he manages to find a self-destruct button in the main control room, and this was before he died. This was when there was like 5 people left, but he manages to find this button in the control room, and the button is self-destruct, and he just presses it for no reason. And then I'm thinking, why are you gonna do that? Where's the sense? Why are you gonna blow it up? And then of course he dies. Now what happens is that the self-destruct button is like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And what happens is that the woman gets on her bike and then she starts driving on the deck. And what happens is that there are like these explosions that she's like dodging, and she's being chased by like this giant fire. Then she jumps off of the edge and into the water. And then what happens is that the entire thing blows up and she survives. And then you know what happens? Finally, a helicopter comes. But the strangest thing is that earlier in the movie they said that they couldn't get any helicopter support or anything. So how would that helicopter know? See? So you think that she's dead. Against all odds, she is on this buoy. You know, the buoys that they use for kind of like lighthouses in the sea. Well, she survived and she's on that. And she is seen by the helicopter, and they pick her up, and then she flies away in the helicopter to safety. Oh my gosh. At this point in the movie, it's the end, the credits are rolling. I was gripping into my chair. I was so angry. Like, it was cheesy, the story was crappy, the acting was meh, it wasn't the best, and you know, the special effects, like, if you count a movie on special effects, you know, it would be good for you, but for everything else, yeah, everything else was crap. Now that the summary of the movie is over, now we need to get to grading. Now what's it going to be graded on is, it's going to be graded on acting, special effects, sound effects, it's also going to be on script, it's going to be based, and lastly it's going to be based off of story. The story was crappy. It was full of holes, like full of holes. How did he get the flamethrower? How did they get that gun? You know, full of holes. How did that helicopter come? Why did the guy press the self-destruct button? It's, oh my god, there are holes everywhere. So out of a 10, the story would get a 3. You know, and that's just deducting so many points. If you get the story wrong, you know, you're looking at a 3-star film and everything else is perfect. The script was cheesy, it was all corny, it was like, oh no, look, the monster, there it is, oh please don't get me. So, you know, script was also pretty crappy. I'll give it a 4 out of 10. Special effects, I'm not gonna lie, the special effects were pretty good. You know, and if you're a guy that's into special effects, you'd be like, oh, this is okay, I guess. So for special effects, I would give that a 7 out of 10, well deserved. For sound effects were also really good, so I would give that a 8 out of 10 because the sound effects were really good. They were top notch. Not a 9 or a 10, but they were pretty good. And lastly, for the most important part, is acting. For some characters, the acting was okay. For this one guy who has a big mustache, and for the old man, you know, their acting was okay. You could tell that they've done a couple movies before, but everybody else, they were terrible actors. They just didn't know where to go. They were like, oh yeah, I see a monster. Want to get a beer? So, you know, that I deducted points for that, and I honestly did not enjoy the acting as much as the special effects or the sound effects. So for the acting, I would give it a 3 out of 10. It was pretty crappy. So in total, the score adds up to 25 out of 50, and you know, 50% is not going to cut it in my book, and because you messed up really important things such as the acting and the story, I am best to give it a 1.5 stars. I am not proud of this film at all. Now for the recommendations. Gabriel, would you recommend me to see the movie? Well, if you are a 9-year-old that likes the Star Wars prequels just because of the special effects and the fact that it has Jar Jar Binks, well, yeah, I guess so. Gabriel, would you recommend me buying this movie? Hell no! It's gonna be a waste of money and a waste of your time. The movie was about an hour and a half, I think, and I'm not gonna get those hour and a half back. Gabriel, what age group do you recommend should see this movie? Nobody. Nobody should see this movie. Not even for children, not even for old men. Hell, I was like, screw it. I looked to my right, my dad was sleeping. My dad was like, and I'm just like, well, Dad, you're lucky. You got to spare yourself from the cheesiness and the crappiness of this movie. So it comes to an end of my first movie review, guys. Thank you so much for watching. And remember to comment, rate, subscribe, and have a good afternoon. Goodbye.